And we're coming to you live from the MGM in Las Vegas. I'm Billy C, and we're doing our Canelo-Kovalev pre-fight extravaganza show. And joining me is Alex Pierpaoli. Hopefully you've caught the first two parts of this. I think we're on part number 3. Had some great guests so far, in case you've missed it. We had a interesting young fighter join us.
Blair the Flair Cobbs.
Woo! And
Woo!
That was him. And we also had Sergey Mora. We had James Buddy McGirt. And we had Kathy Duva. I've always had a crush on Kathy. Still do. And I guess up next is Bernard Hopkins. So we will be chatting with him. We've heard some interesting thoughts on the Canelo-Kovalev fight so far, Alex. And, it just seems like Camp Kovalev just has this confidence, and I've only seen it a couple of times in the sport of boxing. And the most notable time was the ring walk that Evander Holyfield did when he was facing Mike Tyson. I mean, nobody, including myself, gave him any kind of a chance to beat Mike Tyson. But yet he had this look on his face that he knew something that no one else did. And, as we learned, he was right. And I kind of get that feel between, Buddy McGirt and Kathy Duva and, the way that it appears that Canelo has prepared, or at least has said he's prepared for Kovalev. I don't know. It's not a layup fight. I never thought it was. I've gone back and forth on who I think was going to win. You have been pretty adamant about saying Canelo. Has anything changed talking with these guys?
It hasn't changed, but I do think that listening to Kathy Duva and to Buddy McGirt has definitely made me realize that this is going to be a fight, and this is going to be something interesting. It's not a foregone conclusion. I do like Canelo, and I like Canelo to win, probably by stoppage. But one of the things that Kathy pointed out is that McGirt and Kovalev really seem to have clicked.
I think that is evident in the performance of Kovalev.
Yeah, that could be major. That could be a major thing.
I didn't realize how bad it was with John David Jackson.
Me neither, because I thought, if you look at his career, some of his best wins were with John David Jackson.
I met John David Jackson several times, and he's like one of the most even-keeled, nice guys you ever want to meet.
Very nice.
And, it's definitely different when you're coming from the other side. You know what I mean?
You never know, what happens between them, whatever. But that is interesting. Now, again, it might not mean much because, getting along with your trainer.
That's critical in this sport.
Yeah.
It is, Alex. At least while you're fighting in the ring, you don't have to. You see, no.
You don't have to be buddies.
I think you do.
You do?
I do, because
well, his name is Buddy.
Well, there you have it. But I do think that you have to have a good, close relationship, because boxing, there's so much trust involved.
Trust, yeah.
And not only that, but as a trainer, you need to know your fighter more than anyone. To stop a fight if you had to, or to push the right button if you had to, and all these things that you can really only accumulate from spending time and knowing the person on a, I want to say intimate basis, and I don't mean, making out with them, but a very close relationship, you know what I mean? And I do believe that that's important. And when you look at the history of the sport and the most successful fighters, they've all had trainers where they were extremely close.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do think that, the change that that Buddy McGirt made in Arturo Gatti was amazing. The first fight they worked together was on the undercard of Mosley Vernon Forrest, and he was completely transformed. Gotti. If he could have, make something similar, that kind of a performance out of Kovalev, yeah, this is going to be Canelo's toughest night in the ring.
I just, nothing against Canelo because, I like Canelo. He's a warrior. He clearly has fought the top opposition, but we got to hold that thought because we got Bernard Hopkins coming over here right now, so we'll get him mic'd up, and we'll go from there. No, you want the better seat.
Get the hell out of there, nugget.
Exactly.
You see, I waited till he sat down first because I didn't want to mess with him. That's my guy, man.
I put my money on you. Joining us right now is a multi-division world champion and better be Hall of Famer Bernard Hopkins.
2020 June.
No, we were just talking about that.
Time fly, man. They pushed it down 3 years, not 5 now. But excuse me, cut you off. That's why I'm in this next year. Which is perfect timing. It used to be 5 years.
No, it used to be 5.
But they said Ed Brophy is here, matter of fact. He's in Vegas. And they ruled on it. They went through the process. They said, listen, there's no special rules for anybody. But they realized that, hey, they want people that's still around to be here to smell the roses and not go to
You ain't going nowhere. You could have waited.
But I'm not saying me. I'm saying me. I could have waited another. Trust me, I ain't had no problem with it. But I understand why the 3 years is now and not 5 is because those who already in but not voted in, they're getting in. Why should certain people have to wait 5 years where 3 years gives enough room to say, okay, they're not making a comeback, they're not doing this, and know what, they issue in, right? They definitely going to get in. Just got to go through the process, and they end. Get that over with, and I don't think it should be some got 5 and some got 3. Cutting it 2 years off the 5-year wait, I think it's gonna be more positive than negative. And now we got to just wait and see. I'm biased too because that means I get in next year. Well, because guess what? I'm feeling healthy. I'm great. I'm on a veganism. I'm on a veganism now. But at the end of the day, if I can get it over with and actually be in there, I can, like, my ego and my work now can work together and say I'm in Hall of Fame now. Like the prices go up now. The pictures now is no longer $1.
Yeah,
they $5.
Hey, listen, I've always looked at the 5 years. You make an interesting point, but don't you think that 3 years is enough? I mean, you're a different case, man. There hasn't been a fighter like you, and I don't think there's going to be. You were the last of that era.
I would have been in the era in the 70s and 60s and done well.
And 50s. That's my point. Yeah. Your kind of fighter just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, no offense to any of the fighters, but what I always thought, when waiting those 5 years, it gives us a chance to reflect on those fighters' careers. Some of them need that extra time.
But they don't want us to get lost in that 5 years.
No,
think about it. You got to start.
Right.
See, I'm thinking listen, we can have some humor, but I'm gonna keep it clean. Like, if I don't take care of my business, then she gonna have to wait for a week.
No. He's killing me.
I gotta let the car start up now because if this sucker cuts off, then I'm stuck on 95.
Oh, I know how
on the East Coast.
It's all those trips to the bathroom.
I gotta go. I'll be right back. But listen, I think you get it. 3 years is more than half, right? By some months. The 3 years, let's see how it works. They can always go back to 5.
After you get in.
Right. Of course. I'm not. After I get in, they can go to 10. Yeah. Add another 5. Right? Get a couple of guys that won't be there to see it, but we'll take the flowers to the grave.
Let's talk about your career.
It's good talking to you, man. It's a big fight this week. Okay.
Hey, who's fighting? No, we're going to get to that in a second, but we want to talk about you because the truth of the matter is the way fighters are today, and I talk about this on my show all the time. The reason why you fit into the mold of all-time greats is because you fought the best. You never walked away. You always seeked out the best challenges. You had some blemishes on your record that meant nothing, and you proved that doesn't mean anything.
I always came back and done something else greater.
Why,
I mean, that's the pattern.
No, I know. But why are, let's face it, it's the networks and promoters and, well, I'm not going to say.
It's the fighters, too, some of them. I'm not taking them. Listen, it's a combination of all the things you said. But go ahead, let you finish.
My point is that when they lose the O, some of the promoters and some of the networks feel there's no value in that fighter anymore. And the fans should be demanding that these fighters fight again. If they did that to you, we wouldn't be sitting here talking.
Exactly. And look, a team can get blown out Tuesday and come back and have a good game Thursday and Friday, and that blowout is really forgotten about. But it's on a record. Okay, great. But they get a chance to, fighters in most sports outside of boxing, get a chance to redeem themselves. Football, basketball, hockey. Think about it, y'all. Think of baseball. Think about it. Boxing is one of those sports that those type of moments where we are different in a big, big negative way based on whether you got an O or a few losses but a lot of great wins. Because if you go back to way back, there are great fighters that's in the Hall of Fame that had 15 to 10 losses. But
Sugar Ray
look
Robinson.
at Robinson.
Yeah.
Robinson had, I mean, think about like
16, I think, right?
Yes. And then you look at his record, like almost 100 fights. So that's, to me, that's like one loss. I mean, if you do, I mean, numbers are numbers, but you look at the percentage, you'd be like, he never lost any fight.
Plus, he fought every week.
He fought every week in 15 rounds. Listen, I know that a legacy of a fighter, woman or man, shouldn't be based on totally how many fights that they lose, but how many they won and what kind of achievements those fights was. Hall of Fame, if it was a unification, if it was the hottest fighter in that era and got beat by somebody that, wasn't given a chance. Felix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins, 2001. I think that when you look at the quality opponents that the person that fights over the years that they fought, woman or man, you must analyze who they fought, what era they fought in, to make a opinion about where their legacy should be based on Hall of Fame, based on legendary status in the archives of that type of conversation. That to me means more than a guy with an O and with not an O. By no means an O is what it says. You never got beat. But I don't believe that it should be defined based on an O or
a
loss.
Right.
Or 2 or 3
or 10.
Define your Hall of Fame status of being recognized. Because I'm looking at what you did more than what you didn't do, or who you didn't beat, but who you beat. That's the key.
I agree with everything you said except for one thing. I don't think we can blame the fighter on the generation he fought in, like what the opposition
Why
was.
would you punish? No, I wouldn't punish a fighter by the generation.
No, you said who he fought. Like if a fighter is fighting and there's not good competition during his era, it's not the fighter's fault.
Yeah, but if their weight class is up and their weight class is down, you must
seek out.
You must be creative.
Yes.
I became creative saying, let me fight Tarver, after Tarver actually took Roy Jones' career in a different era by knocking Roy Jones out.
Yep.
So I wanted to fight the big bad wolf that people say, hold up, Bernard, you just had those 2 scraps with Jermaine Teller. Yep. What are you doing?
Right.
You going up 15 weight classes. And I hired the great Mackie Shillstone from Tulane University. Just gave a commercial. Invoices.
We didn't get a check, damn it.
No, I said invoice. I said invoice. So don't I'm negotiating. They hear it. But listen. Yeah, and also Riddick Bowe. He didn't have to bulk up. He was already bulked up. He had to bulk him down.
Told him to stop it with the buffet.
The buffet, right? And Serena Williams, he worked with the 2 tennis greats, and that's documented. But listen, and stay focused on, I mean, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Not actually yet, but I'm looked to be a shoe-in.
You're in.
Sizing you
You're
for.
in.
And the size of it, and already,
Let's see.
trying on the ring.
What
and all that
finger is
stuff.
it going to go on?
They already got his ring size.
They measured your finger.
I'll tell you what, if there's the wrong judge there, they can get the middle one.
Hey, you're on a roll, man. You should do stand up, man.
It's the green tea.
Oh shit!
Oh, that's so funny.
That's good. That's good. Big fight this weekend. Canelo against Kovalev.
Oh, that's why we're here. I forgot about the. I was having so much fun.
You know what's gonna happen? She's gonna start giving me the time. Like your time is almost up.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to do that. I want to go.
Let's talk
Stay
about
away,
the fight.
Chloe. Stay away.
We
Tell
just, Chloe,
well,
we
you
just
gotta go.
remember that there is a fight. We're talking about this other personal stuff, and you're like, Bernard, don't you know you got to fight the promote?
No, when you start moving in, it's like
Listen,
you're
this
gonna go.
fight's going to be great. You got two guys that really wants to go and do what? They want to cement their legacy for the future Hall of Fame nominees. And when their time comes, you must accomplish that now while you're active, while you're in the game. And that's a good spin-off of what me and you was talking about, is that what do you do while you're in the game to establish the Hall of Fame status? You do what Canelo is doing. You take those risks. You go up and you do what only 3 to 4 people in the history of boxing accomplished. Not a lot of people tried, but only 3 to 4 people. I'm one of those people who accomplished that historic 2 weight divisions, jumping up to take on the baddest and the most dangerous guy that's sitting here at this time in this era in 2019. And that to me is something that I believe Canelo needs to be, win, lose, or draw, respected for daring to be great.
Yeah, anybody that doesn't respect him is a clown. And when the fight was first, get out of here. When the fight was first announced, all right, I will admit I was like, oh, Canelo's going to go in there. It's going to be, he's going to work the body, and that's it. But I got to tell you, moving on and really looking at it and adding Buddy McGirt, because I think Buddy McGirt is an equalizer for Kovalev.
Oh my God! Very smart, engaging, and going to bring. He's a professor in that corner, which is going to be probably part of winning this fight.
That's the difference with him in the corner.
Everybody talking about the fighters, yeah, they got to do the physical part, but what about the teachers that information?
Making the changes on the fly.
On the fly.
Yeah.
That's key.
And that's where I think that Kovalev could pose some problems for Canelo. If Kovalev is disciplined enough to utilize his jab and establish the distance, Canelo's going to have to try to get inside.
And what price do he pay coming inside?
And he's fighting against a bigger guy. You know what it feels like to get hit by a light heavyweight the first time?
Kovalev wins out here.
Canelo
he loses
wins
in there.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Right?
And I agree with you 100%.
Right?
So he's got to keep using those straight punches to keep Canelo on the outside.
He has to use his size to advantages. He has used his height. He has used his reach.
Yep.
And all the other stuff, talent, this, that, all that's the other ingredients to make that recipe be successful for Canelo. For Kovalev, and Canelo vice versa. He have to get in. He has to be that guard that's getting into the center's chest and making him maneuver his way, right? In a way he's uncomfortable. That is, can't keep up with the foot, the speed, and all the things because he's too much up in his chest. Where either he's going to be uncomfortable, where he got to get separation to be able to view what's happening to him, or he's going to have to deal with the repercussions of letting a small man get up in his chest. And that's key. That is a strategy. Every tall man know that he's comfortable when he can see you as we sit here. This distance is what Canelo need to be conscious of.
Right.
He needs to be in the middle of this table.
And that's what Canelo, I remember that was something you said to Larry Merchant after the Trinidad fight.
Yes.
Was if you're fighting a guy with a gun, you got to get in there and not let him use the gun. And that was what Trinidad had, that left hook, which was like a big gun, and you took the gun away.
His CAT scan works. His CAT scan is accurate. This man here is good.
He's the vegan in him.
The CAT scan report is great. The gun theory. You don't run from a gun. You get hit in your back. You run towards. You're there. You grab the hand. You grab the gun.
Right.
That will save your life. But panic will make you turn around and try to run. You cannot outrun a bullet if you're 3 feet away.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
The reaction must be inside for Canelo.
Wow.
But the distance must. I'm squeezing this man right on.
Okay.
He's turning green.
No, I'm not. But the thing is does either fighter in this fight, does it benefit them to make it a dog fight?
Yeah.
Who?
Canelo.
Canelo.
Really?
Canelo needs to make it a dog fight because
But that's risky for him.
no, it ain't. But it got to be a dog fight inside. It
Because
can't be a
they're
dog fight
inside,
outside.
close, right.
Because the Linky in the middle having the dog fight, his punch is not short. His punch is not as compact as Canelo is. Look at Rocky Marciano fighting a Nuke Bowl or somebody that's tall. Like, it's hard to get under. It's hard to be a guy that's punching up than a guy that's punching down and slinky, got a lean body. You got to remember, Sergey Kovalev is coming in as a thinner, linkier fighter.
But he's developed his uppercut a little.
He developed the uppercut, but he has to get the uppercut in because Canelo is not a stationary guy. No. Canelo has a swivel of his waist, which he has really one of the best Mexican head movements that I've seen in a long time. Other than I've seen two with drinking 2 tequilas, and they was kind of moving pretty good. But Canelo for right now, to me, has the best defense in a long time that I've seen from that type of nationality that can come in there and hit you, and you be like, whoa, where's he at?
He said a comment that he's been lifting more weights because he doesn't have to worry about the weight.
Well, that's what I had to do when I moved up from 60 to 75.
But doesn't that slow you down?
No, because you gotta maximize the weights and you gotta maximize the speed. What Canelo's doing, he's putting on the mass of a light heavyweight, but he's still working on the speed that we don't see that he want to keep from the middleweight division. So now you got this house that you extended it to be bigger, but the house is still at the foundation. Canelo's the foundation of the middleweight and junior middleweight, but just say middleweight. He's the foundation of that. That speed, that reflexes, that offense defense is going to be effective when Sergey throw a punch and he's not there, but he didn't move away. Right. He just got out of the way.
That's the sweet science.
Then you get paranoid and you swing and you got hit a couple times. You're going to be kind of reluctant to throw punches. And once you got that mindset of,
yeah,
right,
I'm scared, yeah, I'm nervous.
You're scared, like, you understand?
Yeah.
Not necessarily scared, but hesitant.
Yeah.
And
anxiety comes in.
And if you can get Kovalev thinking that he's going to get hit if he exposes himself, that's that little break that Canelo can take advantage of. Because now you got your guy reacting off of you. You never want to be in position when you're reacting off of your opponent. You want to be first. You want to be the dictator.
Hit and not get hit, but still be in position to inflict damage.
Absolutely.
And that's
it's called the
saying.
Matrix.
Right, and that's
the Matrix.
It's called the Matrix.
But that's what Canelo's doing with his upper body movement, his head movement.
He's forcing you to make a move and commit yourself so he can count on you.
Right, and
it's called the bait and switch.
He's still in position to inflict damage, and once he gets Kovalev overthinking, now he's not concentrating on his game.
Exactly, and he's making him react. Right, he's making him react. When you make your opponent react, right, and he's not planning on reacting, but you forcing him to defend himself, you controlling what he do. And when you control what a person do, you can maneuver him to do what you want to do. And this is what I'm hit you with upside your head, this left hook in the right hand.
What's your official prediction on that fight?
Hard-earned fight, down to the wire. Canelo wins by TKO. Sergey Kovalev extend himself, fight a fight inside, thought that he can actually overpower him, and it backfires. But it won't be a fight where you would say that it's going to be Canelo. This will be a fight where it's going to be rounds where we're going to have this conversation afterwards. I don't know when, but afterwards, where there's going to be some rounds like, I don't know, they both got, they both give and take, because Canelo could take a good shot. If he can take,
He never took it from a light heavy.
if he can take Sergey punches early when there's some massive energy. You gotta remember, the first 4 or 5 rounds of fight, we all at our peak of power.
Right.
It's when the rounds go down, the stretch of championship rounds, where now it becomes you exerted some energy, anxiety then kicked in. The fights is in, the comfort zone of not the middle rounds, but it's getting close to it, and both guys are extending themselves. Where now we're in the 6, 7 rounds. Now you're talking championship rounds, as we all heard. Now, can the lack of energy, along with the experience, along with the professionalism, along with who won it the most, can all these now factors be a negative or a positive for each guy? That's how not evenly matched this is, because Sergey Kovalev got some great advantages that I don't give Canelo. And then it's Canelo who has some great advantages that I don't give Sergey. That got to come down to the line on who established dominance and who do it first.
The co-main event, Ryan Garcia, tough fight he's in with Dano. It's a big test for him. He seems pretty confident in that fight. What's your thoughts?
He better have his grown man draws on.
That's right. That's right. I'm
he
with
better.
you.
He better listen.
It's gonna be a big fight.
It is.
Fight.
He better have his grown man draws on, and if he don't have them on, he better pin them on before Saturday night.
Yep. No, I'm
because we at this table know that he's fighting somebody that's not caring about none of that social media and how many followers you have. He's serious business.
Yeah.
And I sat next to him up in the podium, and when you see a guy that don't have to go to the bathroom but is moving his legs, he can't wait to get in. It's like a horse at the stall. And I'm like, do you got to go to potty? And he's moving his legs, and I'm like, what? This is kind of, I understand from a fighter's experience.
He's chomping at the
that
bit.
if he don't have to go to the potty, then this man ready to come out the stall like a horse. Ryan, don't you understand? You got to be careful what you say.
Yeah. He's saying he wants him. He wants him. Going, man, because his
Like
level of
literally, I seen this. Like seriously, like he like this. Like
it's a big opportunity
It's
for
like
him.
a tiger.
You know.
he's ready to go out of the gate.
Wow.
All right, we're getting the evil eye from Chloe. So, Bernard, it was great.
She's tired of hearing about this potty stuff. Like
It was great having you.
As always.
And we hope to have you again soon.
Sorry. And the next time we do this interview, we're gonna have a little bit of spunking. Just kind of like this must have had a late morning. Or something.
The thing is that we were going to be a lot more awake and ready for you, but they wanted you had to come early.
As always, love, man, and respect, man. Enjoy the fight Saturday.
Oh, we're
Please.
gonna.
Bernard,
Thank you.
Just as a pre-warning, I'm sure you're getting into the Hall of Fame, and I look forward to seeing
Thank
you
you.
there in
He
June.
knows he's getting it.
And I really would love to hear more about your vegan diet at some point.
Thank you. No problem. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
Bernard Hopkins giving us his thoughts and very entertaining. You want to move back in the
Sure,
seat?
I'll come back.
We got Alex moving over here, but he's he told it like it is, I think, and I don't think that he had some interesting points that my initial thought on the fight was Canelo, and then I kind of was like kind of leaning towards Kovalev because of the size difference, and listening to Bernard talking about it. I mean, he's obviously up on it, Alex, and he makes some great points. And the ones that surprised me the most is basically what he's saying is he thinks that Canelo is actually stronger, and maybe he's right.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, that's something that Andre Ward had said too, was that Kovalev is not strong in close physically. He's a strong puncher, and that maybe that's why Canelo is lifting weights. But I think Bernard pointed out appropriately that both guys have tools and things that they're good at. And the thing about what's going to happen Saturday night is we really don't know who's going to be able to dare to be great until the fight starts.
You know, it's interesting because Canelo seemingly hasn't taken, his knockout power with him as he's moved up. He didn't stop Triple G. He didn't stop Daniel Jacobs. We talked about that earlier. But maybe the fact that he had to maintain that 160-pound weight limit, maybe, the extra 15 pounds, right? I mean, we're talking 15 extra pounds he gets to add.
That's a lot.
And if he was holding himself back power-wise, like Bernard said about the weights, see that surprised me too. It's not it would be more reps, not weight. So it would be less weight, more reps, but that's not what it's sounding like he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question. Is what kind of weight training is he doing? Is he doing it for power? Is he doing it for endurance? I think you're right that it would be more for endurance probably. So you're talking like 12 to 20 reps rather than 6 to 9.
Well, then the other issue is, does the extra muscle zap him out? Because remember, it was up until the last couple of fights that he was running out of gas.
Right.
He fought in spurts.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about him is that he's a burst fighter. That's one of his things. But again, one of the things he does is he adapts. Because remember, in the first, he fought very differently in the second Golovkin fight than he did in the first fight. And the first fight, he sort of held back and countered. The second fight, he brought it to Golovkin. So he's the kind of guy that makes adjustments like that. And I think that it could be that, if he is weightlifting and doing the high reps like that, maybe he's trying to get more endurance out of the muscles. I don't know, because like Bernard just said, Canelo's the guy who, if it becomes a scrap, Canelo's the guy Bernard favors, and that seems a little counterintuitive when you think the other guy's the big bully.
But what B-Hop said was that if, as long as he was inside and preventing Sergey Kovalev from extending his punches, is what he was saying.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, because we've seen that even with Mike Tyson. I remember when who was it? Tony Tubbs said he was going to out jab him. Tyson was like, yeah, well, if somebody came at me with a bat, I wouldn't stand on the outside and let them swing the bat at me. Right. I'm getting right in their chest, so they can't use the bat.
Right. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting fight. And, I guess the smart money has to go on Canelo. It's an interesting fight, and Kovalev has more than a good chance, but
yeah,
well, it was a good scene.
Well, I was going to say, I
lost track of what I was.
What did the smart money pick last night on the World Series? The smart money went with who? The Astros.
Yeah, well, no. If you're referring to me as being smart money, no, they were the favorites, but. That game, the only reason why I went with the Astros was because I'm a disgruntled Met fan and I despise the Nationals. But the truth of the matter is, in this particular fight, the in Las Vegas, Canelo Alvarez, it's going to be tough to beat Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas. I disagree with Kathy Duva and Buddy McGirt, which I don't like to do with either one, but I don't think that Kovalev can win a decision in Las Vegas against Canelo. I think that his only way of winning this fight is to stop Canelo, or at least knock him down. And, like B-Hop said, Canelo's got a chin, but he's never been hit by a legitimate light heavyweight. I don't care if he's been hit by a light heavyweight in sparring. It's not the same, like you've said several times today. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think even though there's a lot of pressure on Canelo, I think there's more pressure on Kovalev.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do think that what Kathy had said, I think it was Kathy, about just some of the Russian support, and that we'll be able to see just from the crowd. If Kovalev's doing well, he's gonna quiet those Mexican fans.
Yeah, Kathy said that, and she made a great point that if they think he's winning or losing by how quiet they get.
Right. And I think, the thing about it is that if Kovalev could win a decision here, but he's going to have to win a decision where he wins at least 9 rounds to make up for the fact that
How's he going to do that?
You know what I mean? Well, he's going to have to win convincingly.
Well, look at
because
but
if it's a 7-5 fight, he ain't getting it.
Yeah, but look at the fight we were talking about earlier with Mario Barrios. The guy, he knocked his opponent down twice in that fight, and most of us still think that he won, that the opponent won.
Yeah.
So and that's decisive. But again, that's like what you said. It was a closer fight, I think Kovalev would have to knock Canelo down 3 times in the fight or stop him to win this fight. I think every close round is going to go to Canelo. I think that Canelo is going to try I don't think he's going to jump all over Kovalev. I think he's going to try to save his energy. I think he is going to fight in spurts, and I think that he's going to try to steal the rounds, meaning that I think he's going to come on strong in the second half or even the final third of the round, the last minute of the round, and that's how he'll win on the scorecards. That's typically what they do for him in Vegas. Same thing as what they did for Floyd.
Yeah, that if he wins the last 40 seconds of a round, it's his round.
Right.
Yeah. I think that in the Golovkin fights, it did seem like that. Although it's tough because those were really close fights. So I don't know. I really hope that it's a decisive fight and we're not sitting here debating punch stats and whose round was that and whose rounds were this.
It doesn't matter.
I don't think it's going to be that kind of fight. I think it will be decisive, and I think one guy's going to win all the marbles, as they say. And I do think that the Ryan Garcia-Duno fight and versus Romero-Duno fight and the Marlon Esparza-Estrada fight, those are 2 fights that could steal the show. We didn't really even talk at all about the other guys, but I don't really know too much about them. I think one guy's from Kazakhstan, and one's from Russia.
He's another one.
I haven't seen these
fighters.
Yeah, one's an IBF title eliminator, I think.
Yeah, let's go to we'll wrap up the show here. So let's break down and give our official predictions for the main event and co-main event. We'll start off with Ryan Garcia going up against Romeo Duno, and this is an intriguing fight. To me, I don't know what I just did here.
Whoops.
But yeah. Ryan Garcia, he's a young guy. He's 20 years old, and actually 21. He's ranked number 16 in the world by the computer. He's got a 3-inch reach advantage. He's got a 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. He's 18-0 with 15 knockouts. He's got an 83% knockout ratio with 58 rounds as a pro. Thing is, with Ryan Garcia, I see him out of his 18 fights, I only see 2 that I'll even give better than good credit for. Jason Veliz is the best fighter he fought, and just like Sergio Mora said earlier, the Carlos Morales fight. Many people thought he lost that fight. He won a majority 10-round decision in that fight. Those are the 2 top fighters that he fought. And, if you're going to look at Veliz and if you're going to look at Morales, and then you take a look at Duno, I think Duno is every bit as good as both of those fighters. And, he's hungry. He's got something to prove. And, when you look at Duno, you see him. And you see a fighter that's only a couple of years older. He's 24 years old. The confusing part for me with this guy is the computer ranks him at number 38. Remember, the computer ranked Ryan Garcia at number 16. They're supposed to be basing the rankings on the opponents and who the opponents fought, et cetera, and it doesn't look like that was too accurate there. He's 21-1 with 16 knockouts. He's got several rounds more, but nothing crazy. He's got 98 rounds versus 88. His 4 best wins are against good opposition. We talked about it earlier. 102 wins and 24 losses combined. Christian Gonzalez was 16-0 when he fought him, and he was knocked out. He also fought and beat Juan Pablo Sanchez, Gilberto Gonzalez, and Juan Antonio Rodriguez. And I think all 4 of those fighters are equal to, if not better, than Jason Veliz and Morales. To be honest with you, I know that Garcia is the favorite in this fight. I know that he's ranked higher. I think he's in all kinds of trouble in this fight, and I have a feeling that there's going to be an upset in the co-main event. I'm predicting Deneau to actually drop Garcia in this fight, and if Garcia wins, it's going to be one of those controversial decisions. But I'm officially picking Deneau in this fight. Who do you like?
I'm very excited for that fight. I do think that that's could steal the show. Between that one and Esparza Estrada, those are both real heated, competitive fights. I'm going to go with Garcia to prevail in a hard-fought decision, like you said, that could maybe go either way, that people will complain about, and maybe call for a rematch. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if Garcia tastes the deck at some point.
Main event, Saul Canelo Alvarez challenging Sergey Kovalev for his WBO World Light Heavyweight title. Kovalev is 7 years older. He's ranked number 1 in the world at light heavyweight. And that's kind of surprising by the computer. That's a little surprising to me. Consider Beterbiev and also Bivol.
Well, he has the most.
He has the better record in terms of opponents, and his record is 34 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. 29 of his wins coming by knockout. Of his 3 losses, he was stopped twice, both times by Andre Ward. One time by Andre Ward and the other time by Alvarez, Eldira Alvarez. His draw was against Grover Young, who I actually managed for a little while. When he was 5-4, he got the draw there. He has a 4-inch height advantage, but only a 2-inch reach advantage, which I think is significant. He is going to be the taller fighter, and we're talking about him establishing his jab and what have you. But the truth of the matter is he only has a 2-inch reach advantage. Now, when you look at them standing side by side, it doesn't appear that. It looks like Kovalev is much bigger. Kovalev has fought some great opposition in the light heavyweight division, has fought his whole career at light heavyweight. He steps in the ring with Saul Canelo Alvarez, who's currently the world middleweight champion for the WBC, IBF, and WBA. And, oh, by the way, he's still the super middleweight champion for the WBC as well. Listen, he's fought the who's who, all right? He's been a different fighter since his loss to Floyd Mayweather. I thought that he learned a lot from that fight, and I think that if the version of Canelo today was fighting the same version and age of Mayweather when he fought, I think Canelo beats him. He has become a smarter fighter, but sometimes I wonder if he's limited. He does get, he doesn't. I've never really seen him fight a full 3 minutes all out. He does fight in spurts. He does work the body well. He does go after the head well. He does have good movement. But I don't know. Does he do it all at once? He seems to do good things individually. It's interesting to hear B-Hop's idea of how he can win this fight, getting inside, etc. And he's right for the most part. That's Kovalev's weakness, but everybody said Kovalev's not a body puncher. But I can't help but remember what Buddy McGirt said. Body punchers don't like to get hit in the body either. That means, to me, that's subliminally telling me that they're working on his body punching, and they're going to try to utilize it in this fight. This was a tough one for me to pick, and I've been going back and forth. But I think at the end of the day, Canelo's going to win this fight. I feel that Kovalev has a very good chance, and I would quite honestly love to see the upset, only because I would be shocked if they don't have a rematch clause in this contract. And I say rematch in Canelo's favor. I think win, lose, or draw, Canelo would have the option of fighting a rematch. If he lost the fight, he would have the option of fighting a rematch. If he won the fight, I think he has an option to fight a rematch. I don't think Kovalev has those options as far as the contract goes, but I think Canelo's going to win the fight. What's your thoughts?
I think Canelo is going to win, and he's going to win sensationally. I do think I think he's going to win by stoppage. And I am going to go check the odds on that, because it might be worth putting a little money on there. But as we've learned today, I do think that the ingredients are there for him to be stepping up. This move that he's doing, like Bernard Hopkins said, should be applauded. It's great when fighters do this, moving up 2 divisions. Sometimes you pay for that. And I think that the ingredients that are there, Buddy McGirt, and the fact that he has shown in his last couple of fights with Buddy McGirt, he's shown a resiliency that he didn't have before. That's what he needs against Canelo, because I think he will be hurt at some point. But I think that even if Buddy McGirt and Kovalev get along great, and even if, like Sergio Mora said, Kovalev smartly fires that right hand at the body of Canelo, I still think he's on his own. Buddy McGirt isn't in the ring with him. And I think that at some point Canelo will hurt him, and when he hurts him, he'll take him out.
I think that Buddy brings an interesting element to this fight, because he's a guy that I know can make the on-the-fly adjustments.
Yeah.
Canelo never really had to make an on-the-fly adjustment, except for his fight against Mayweather, and he failed. What
about Golovkin? You don't think so?
Well, he did the same game plan through that.
I don't know. That second fight, though, I mean, he fought masterfully that second fight. He brought it right to Golovkin.
Yeah,
that's what they criticized him for the previous time. So he said, "Oh, okay. Well, then I'll fight you off my front foot, and I'll stay right in your face all night." And he did.
He did, but when do we when do we talk about the elephant in the room? When Triple G has aged.
Right. And I think that's the part of this fight that is, you got to give credit to Golden Boy, and that's why it's a little strange to think he'd want to dump the promoter. But again, maybe it's not Golden Boy who's like scouting these opponents. The timing has been really masterful. As much as Kovalev deserves the #1 ranking, I think he is vulnerable, and he's vulnerable to a guy like Canelo. So
this could very easily be a cash-out fight for Kovalev. I don't know if I believe Kathy saying he's going to go on, win, lose, or draw. There's nothing left. He's making reportedly $15 million, I think, for this fight. What if he loses the fight? What does he have to go on for?
Right.
For what?
Punishment.
That's about it.
That's usually what happens.
So, hey, listen, we appreciate you joining us for this great weekend that we're here in Las Vegas. We will be watching the fight ringside, and the next show that we do live from my studio, we will be discussing the post-fight Kovalev or every single post that says Canelo-Kovalev. So I might as well say that. I want to thank the MGM for letting us do this here, as well as the Zone. It was a great time. I also want to plug so many years ago. But anyway, you have any final thoughts, Alex?
No, I'm just glad to be here. I'm looking forward to a terrific fight, and I'm looking forward to doing some trick-or-treating. Happy Halloween!
I'm looking forward to that myself. Hey, listen, boys and girls, until next time, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.